There we go. I think I have this set up right. I just have to see how things go. If you have any issues hearing me or whatever the case may be, just let me know, and we'll see if we can fix it. Anyway, KSP, Kerbal Space Program. As you can tell, it's kind of a little different. It doesn't actually look like Kerbin, it looks like the Earth. In fact, that is Africa right there. There's Italy. So yeah, we're doing a realistic progression. So this is like the actual space race, and we're gonna try to keep it as close to realism as possible. I mean, obviously some rocket parts and things like that will be better suited for different things, but we'll make it work. All right. So we're gonna start with a new game here, and we will call this what? What shall we call it? PSA, Cybermind Space Administration? Sure, why not? Change the flag. Let's go with. I kind of like this one, honestly. That's the logo that actually comes with the game. So now we're going to make a couple of changes here. If I can remember where they are. I think these are all fine. I don't know that number, so they just have to wait. We're going to turn off electrical charge notifications because those can get kind of spammy. And there was something else here. Let's see. Real antennas is fine. Oh yeah, speculative level. We're going to change this to prototype. Basically, it makes parts available that were tested, but they didn't necessarily fly in real life. So makes it a little bit easier. Not like completely super easy, but yeah. This is all fine. This is all good. I think that was all I really needed to change. We're going to turn this off. And I think that is everything. Yeah. Okay. And let's start it. Hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. All right. And I got to get rid of all this stuff because I already know about all this. And we're going to change this to ComNet Connectivity Manager. And welcome to the space station, or Space Center. We'll just go ahead and make it daylight. That's a little loud on my end, so let's make the ambient a little lower. Okay. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to launch our space agency. So to do that, we'll go over here to the administration building. And we have we have a maximum of 5 programs. We're not going to worry about the X-plane research right now. We're going to worry about early rocket development. And this gives some objectives. And we have until 1957 to get through all of these. And it is currently 1951. And this is our funding level. So as if everything works out great, at year 5 we'll have the most funding. So I will accept that. And the other one we're going to pick up is suborbital research. This sets us up for science missions during our first year. Same thing here. By the 5th year, we have the most funding. We have until, once again, 1957 to complete that one as well. All right, so now that we have those two things, let's look at our available missions. We have first launch, which just basically says to launch a rocket. Okay, and then we have Kármán line. The optional contracts we don't necessarily have to do, but we can for additional. I can't remember what this is called. It's been so long since I played this. But so we'll go ahead and accept Kármán line. And yep, I think we can accept this one as well. So we'll grab both of those. And so our first mission is basically simply to launch a rocket and get above the Kármán line. The Kármán line is what separates space from the atmosphere. And so it's approximately, I think, 100,000 kilometers or 1,000 meters. Yeah. Yeah, 1,000 meters. So we have very limited parts to work with here, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll grab the avionics, which is basically the control. And then we need a fuel tank. And we need an engine. Early in the 50s, they used this rocket here called the Aerobee, and we're going to use that. We're going to use that one as well. So we look at the stats on it. It's a pressure-fed engine, and it has ullage. Ullage is basically if you're launching a rocket, while the rocket's going up, the fuel is being pushed down. If that situation changes, and let's say the fuel is pushed upward, that creates an air pocket, and that will prevent the engine from igniting. So in order to do that, number one, we need a high pressure tank. So we'll change that to high pressure, and then we're going to fill it with the Aerobee fuel, which in this case is ANFA 22, ARPNA 3, and nitrogen. It fills it with the exact mixture. Now I'm going to leave this open because there's a couple things we need to look at. We need to look at delta V stats, which I already have. Okay, cool. I'm going to put this up here. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to kind of shape this a little bit. So we're going to make this we're going to leave it as a cylinder, but we're going to change the diameter to 300 millimeters. 300 meters looks fine. And then the length, now we need the length for a certain. If you look here, it says the rated burn time is 47 seconds. We get 5 seconds free. So what we can do is we can add enough fuel to make this 53 seconds. So in order to do that, we'll just take this and extend the length. And now you can see now we have an exact 53.34 seconds of burn time, which is perfect. All right, the next thing we're going to do is the cone, or the avionics processor. We're going to keep this at near Earth. Actually, no, we're going to keep it as, we're going to make it a science core, because we're not really going to control this. And we're basically using, this is a sounding rocket is what this is. And tech level will be start. We don't need this much electrical charge. So what we can do is we can actually reduce that. And let's do 400. And then what we can do now is we can close this. And now we can work on sizing it. And this music is still super freaking loud. Let me if I turn it down on my end. Whoops, that's the wrong one. There we go. Whoa, that makes the mic super loud, so let's drop that down some. All right, let's try, how about there? That sounds probably better. Hopefully you guys can hear me still okay. All right, so the avionics, we're going to make it into a smooth cone. The top is going to be 0. The bottom, we want to match it up with this, so we're looking at 300. Something like that. Now, for controllable purposes, the length should always be, for something this small, should probably be something around, what? I think 1.5 should do it. So now it looks like a giant freaking pen, right? Yeah, that'll work. All right, so now we're going to configure this thing out a little bit more. We're going to put some science on it. Put a thermometer and a barometer on there so that we can get a little bit of science out of this. Make sure that everything is set to a waiting status. That looks good. I'm happy with that. We got 53 seconds of delta V. That's beautiful, but we're not going to get as high as we want to get. So what we're going to do next is we are going to put a hollow interstage on the bottom. And we're going to bring that diameter way down. And we're going to give it a little bit of a kick. In order to do that, we're going to grab this engine right here. Let's call it the Tiny Tim. It's just a simple solid rocket motor that fires for like maybe 3 seconds, gives this time to spool up, and potentially get us as high as we need it to get. Now, in order to do this, we have to do what's known as hot stage this motor. So while this one is firing off, this one is also firing up, getting up to its operating range before this disconnects. And this will happen fairly quickly, actually. Next thing we need is a launch tower. And we'll just use the small clamp. And the last thing we need is some wings. So I'm going to look up something real quick here. I need to find something here because I always have a very difficult time with doing the procedural wings. They're kind of a pain in the butt at times. So if I can find what I'm looking for. Hang on a second here. Do 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 do. This is always the hardest part, is getting the wings the way I want them. I have a hard time translating the wings, so I have some preset stuff here that I have. Um, all right, so let's grab these procedural wings and let's set them in a configuration of, let's do 3. And we're going to open this up and we're going to make some changes to here. And I use, so this is going to be 0.5. This one's going to be 0.05. 0.2. 0.025, I think. Yeah. 0.025, 0.025. And then we're going to change the shape is rounded. The width is going to be 0.2. The width is going to be at the tip 0.5. No, 0.05. The trailing edge is going to be at 0.3. And the width is going to be 0.1. And that makes some pretty okay wings, but they'll do the trick. You want to pull them off now, and I'm going to place them just a little bit lower. You know, I'm not happy with that. Let's look at those again. Now the offset, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I mean, it may still fly, but I'm still not convinced that I like this. I think the width is off. Let me look at this again. Oh, yeah. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Had to think about that for a minute. All right. Those look good. All right, I think this thing is ready to fly. The only thing is it doesn't fly right away. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call this an aerobee. and we're going to save it. What we have to do is we have to simulate the launch first, or we need to simulate the launch first. And this is the part that I really like about this is we can actually go through multiple launches and multiple failures without actually costing any money. So now we look at this thing. We got some things we got to look at here. First thing we want to do is we want to bring up the two contracts and make sure that we've got the two vessels working. Next thing we want to do is we want to look at staging. So staging is the launch clamp, the booster, and the engine will all fire at the same time. And then when the booster runs out of fuel, it will we're going to drop the solids. Let me try that again. All three of these are going to fire at once. So the launch clamp, the rocket, the booster, and the engine. When the engine has enough spool up time, which I'm setting to hot staging, so it has 1 second of spool up time, it will stage this one and then kick this one off and kick the booster out, and this will fly on its own. All right. So I think we are ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the autopilot. We're going to bring up some stats for the motors because we want to look at it because there's a lot of things about this. So for example, the engine itself has what we have data points, which right now it has none, which means this is an untested rocket as far as I'm concerned. The more it flies or fails, we get more data units. The better data units we have, the more reliable the engine will be. Right now, it has a let's see, ignition chance is 100%. As of right now, it's looking like 5.6 minutes between failures. Oh my God, Restalius, how you doing, my friend? Um, so, and it only has one light up, and it has about a 0.6 second spool up time. So 1 second is perfectly fine for hot staging time. So let's actually, you know what? Let's dump this. Let's do 0.7 for the hot stage time. Yes, indeed it has. I've been driving a truck, and not too long ago, about March, I had a heart attack, and right now I'm waiting for clearance to get back to work and all that good stuff. So, yes, sir. All right, let's kick this thing out and see if we get the contract. So we want to look at these. We've met almost everything here. We just have to reach 100 kilometers to get the Carmen Line contract. And here all we have to do is get to 1,000 meters. I think this particular rocket will satisfy both of those requirements. I'm going to bring a couple of things around here so that I can see what's happening. We're going to bring the Delta V out. We're going to bring out the orbital info, which looks like it's already here. So that's the vessel information, which I want to keep that here. And where is the orbit info? Ah, here's the orbit info. And we'll put the orbital info right, actually. Aha, yes, that's what I want. Sweet. All right, so we'll put that right here. We'll put this over here so that I can watch the engine performance. And we can close this up and put this right here. All right, let's see what happens. We're going to launch this thing and just kind of keep an eye on it and see if we get the contracts we need. Okay, so we got our first contract. We got the 1,000 meters. Now we just need to see if we can get to 100 kilometers. And we're watching this number right here, the apoapsis. That is the top of our climb, basically. When we run out of kinetic energy, basically. Because we won't reach it when the engine burns out. We'll reach it when it runs out of velocity. So as long as we can get this up to 100, get that apoapsis up to 100 meters or 100 kilometers, then we've had a successful launch. And there it is right there. And now she'll just she'll keep climbing. As you can see, the altitude is rising because our surface speed or our speed is now, you see it's decreasing, but we still have, kinetic energy. And now we can see that the engine flamed out because of no propellants. We ran out of fuel. Now I'm fairly certain, as I said, I'm 99.9% sure that this thing is going to get to the 100. Well, actually, according to the orbital info, we're going to get up to 110 kilometers. But we only need to make it up to 100, so. Now, mind you, we're not running this mission yet. We are in a simulation right now. We've designed the rocket. We've taken it into the simulator. We're running tests to see if we can make those contracts work. And you'll also notice that we now have flight data of 782 data units. Every time we run this engine, we're going to get more and more data units until we max it out. At that point, the engine will be 100% efficient. Now you can see we've got Kármán line. So we've made both of our required contracts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab this, hit range safety, and blow it up. Because this rocket was not meant to return. It doesn't have any parachutes. It doesn't have anything for re-entry, nothing of that nature. So we know that we know that this rocket will make it and complete those two contracts. So, we had a couple things we need to do here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to look at, that's not what I want. I want this. The cost of building this rocket. If the rocket was, if we just built the rocket, okay, it would cost us approximately 50,000. Well, we only have 15,000, first of all. But what we can do is we can tool the rocket. So what that basically means is the parts, we're going to create them in a factory, but we're going to keep the plans for those parts handy. That way, when we have to build another one of these, it doesn't cost as much. It's going to cost less and less. The more rockets we have, the more pieces we have tooled, the cheaper it is to build the rocket. So what we're going to do is we're going to tool this whole thing because it's going to cost us, if we tool the whole thing, it's only going to cost us 73. Okay? But now to tool it, it's going to cost us a bit. It's going to cost us 1,100, 1,200, about roughly 1,400 to tool it all. But we're going to do that. Just simply because later on, when we use this tank again, okay, if we use this exact setup again, it will only cost us about 20 or 30 credits. So we're going to tool it. Boom, it's tooled. All right. Now, the next thing we have to do is we have to build a launch pad because we have no launch complexes are available. So we need to build a new launch complex. And I like changing these up just a little bit. Um, and there's a reason. Um, like the maximum tonnage I'd like to have here is maybe 2 tons, but then the minimum tonnage goes down to 1. So I can't really do that. So we'll just do 1. And this has a maximum of 10 engineers. We'll get into that in just a minute. We're going to rename this. We'll call this small sounding pad. It's going to cost us 1,215 funds, or 41 per day, to build it. To set up the pad is going to cost 125. It's going to take 30 days to build it. 178 funds in our yearly upkeep, so that's our maintenance costs. And our starting efficiency is at 10%. Now that will grow over time. So let's go ahead and build it. And we're going to save this. Now we're going to exit back to the Space Center because we can't do anything at all until the launch pad is built. So we need to do a couple things here. First of all, let's take a look at our budget right now. Our program budget is 123.1 credits. We're not getting we're getting a subsidy right now of 68.5, but right now we don't have anything because we're building it. Now, once the launch pad is built and the rocket is built, we'll see that go up. Now, the one thing that we do need to do is we need to do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to go over to R&D. R&D is laid out like this. It still works the same way that KSP has worked. It's laid out quite differently. So we have 2 science points to spend right now, and I'm going to spend them on early solids and post-war rocketry. You can also see when these items need to come into play. Like, for example, basic solid rocket engines were from 1952 to 1955. If we wanted to play a close-up and realistic progression, we would try to aim for those targets. Early rocketry, 1950 to 1951. Solid rocket engines, this is, yeah. So, we'll get those going. Now, in order to facilitate the research, it's going to take us infinity time. Why is that? Well, that's because we have no staff. We have no engineers. We have no scientists. We have no researchers. We have 20 applicants right now, and I'm going to hire all 20 of these guys. And now they are all going to work. Now you see here, it's going to take 202 days to research early solid rockets, and then following that, 191 days to research post-war rocketry. The other thing we need is engineers. We can hire 10 of these. Actually, we can hire 20. Actually, no. Right now, the launch pad the launch complex that we're using only supports 10, so we're only going to hire 10 right now. And actually, didn't even need to hire them just yet, but that's okay. All right, so if we go here, we can see that our sounding pad is going to build in 29 days. While that's happening, our research is going on. And after our subsidy, we're now going to be in the negative, which is understandable. So what I'm going to do, and this is a quick warning, you're going to see flashes of lights. We're going to warp to completion of the sounding pad. So now we are getting this has a few days left. And presto. Okay, so now that the pad is built, we can go over here. And we can begin building the rocket. To begin building the rocket, we just basically hit launch. And what that does is it integrates. And it's going to take 36 days to build the rocket and another 3.5 days, 36.5 days to integrate, which means to build it and get it in storage. Then another 3 days and 5 hours to roll it out. So we will go ahead and we'll hit the launch, and that will move this into, oh, not yet, parts that are in development. So we need to unlock those parts. It doesn't cost a whole lot. There we go. That's done. And it says it's been moved into the integration. So now it's ready to go. It is now being built, and we can wait. But what I want to do is I want to look at other missions. And we are in rocket development and research. So we know that the Kármán, these are the two that we're doing. So if we move over to suborbital research, we can look and see what we've got here. And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot that we can do right now, because this requires science parts that we don't have the ability of putting on yet. So we'll leave this one alone. We'll come back over here. So we need a suborbital trajectory return with a return. So this needs to go, I'm assuming, above 140 kilometers. And then basically just come back. It doesn't have to, okay, it does have to be returned, so we'll need a parachute for that. Then we have the 3,000 kilometer milestone. This isn't a return, so we can actually not have to worry about returning that. This one, let's see. It doesn't say we have to return it. That's a good thing, because I don't know if we can yet. Then we have another one for 5,000 kilometers. These are not listed as required or unrequired, but what we can do is we can go back to the administration building and we can see what's required. So basically, in order to complete this program, to be successful with the early rocket development program by January 1st of 1957, we basically have to, at the very most, get 5,000 kilometers downrange. And by downrange, that basically means way out there. So if we're launching from here, we're going this way. We got to get 3,000 and 5,000 kilometers that way. All right, so let's take a look at our staffing. We currently have no engineers assigned. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our engineers and we are going to assign, oh no, maybe they are. Why isn't it? That's why. Okay, all 10 are assigned. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So we have 20 extra engineers. It's fine. Something I had remembered reading is, you know, you've got the funds to use it. You've got the funds, so use it. So this is reputation, science, and confidence. Reputation determines how much your subsidy is. So right now we have 0 reputation, so the minimum we'll get is 25,000 per year. Once we cap it at 254 rep, then we get 50,000 per year. So, all right. So I think we're ready. We can go ahead and warp this to completion. I've never had it do that before. That's interesting. Makes me think the game's going to crash if with it doing what it's doing right now. So we're warping this to completion. All right. And now you can see that it's in storage, meaning it's done. It's going to cost us 23 funds to roll it out. And as you can see, we only lost, what, 500? Not even 500. So as you can see, it shows how much we're making. So we're making 110 per day, 335 per month, or 45,000 per year. And we can see that here in our budget. After our balance is 110. So let's go ahead and roll this out. It's going to take 2.5 days. So we'll just go ahead and warp it out now. And now that it's warped, now that it's been rolled out to the launch pad, we can go ahead and launch it. Our staging still looks good. Now, even though we've tested it and it looks like it works, we're going to take this and we're going to keep, because now we have real flight data. The thing is, this thing has not been flown. So now you can see our flight data is 0 data units. And I was expecting that. So we'll go ahead and bring our contracts up. And the other thing I want to bring up is the science reports, if I can find them. So we'll see what kind of science. Actually, no, I don't want this one. Let's do it on this. There we go. Now I can see the science data. I can see that everything is waiting. It's waiting for data. And I think we are set. So my hot staging is still good. The drop solids early is good. So let's go ahead and hit the autopilot. And let's send this baby up in 3, 2, 1. Once again, remember we're looking for an apoapse of approximately 100 kilometers or more. Everything looks good. As you can see, we're collecting data units on the engine. We got 772 data units. We're going to get an apoapse of approximately 112 kilometers, which is going to satisfy both of these contracts. So we'll just sit back here and kick back and wait for it to do its thing. I could speed up time, but I'm really wary about time acceleration in Kerbal Space Program because it messes with the physics a lot. So we're just waiting now. And since we don't have to return this contract, we can actually blow it up once we've reached the milestone. We don't have to wait for it to crash down to Earth. And presto! Kármán line and first launch have been completed, and now we blow it up. Except I forgot to collect the science, but that's okay. We'll return to the Space Center. Couldn't get a whole lot of science out of it anyway. Look at that. Rocket reaches space. We made it. Araby sounding rocket is shot out of the atmosphere and into space on a mission of scientific discovery. For the first time, rocketry is not a weapon of hostile destruction, but an instrument to further our understanding of the universe. We are all hoping that as an age of world wars ends, an age of cosmic discovery will begin, and this flight marks the beginning of an era where the stars will start to seem closer and closer. And now a little bit of historical context. The first real-life rocket to do this was V2 number 3 on 10 May of 1946. So we're a little late. Launched from White Sands as part of the Hermes program, it carried a Geiger counter to measure cosmic radiation. The Hermes program combined scientific and military objectives, but it still marked the first suborbital spaceflight to carry scientific instruments. And now we have to wait 6 days because the launch pad has to be reconditioned, basically meaning it has to be built again. So you can see we got a little bit of reputation. Now that we have 25 reputation, we're going to get a little bit more because now we're getting 28,442 over the period of the year. And as you can see, now that we've got a higher subsidy, our net income has changed, and our program budget has drastically increased. All right. So now let's run over to the administration building because now we have some options for administration leaders. So basically board of directors. So we have the administrator, the chief designer, the flight director, chief scientist, and then we have contractors, all of which unlocked by doing things. So in this case, we have some choices. We have Vladimir Shalomny. I'm not going to read all of that. I'm just going to go over the specifics. So we get a confidence cost for program activation of minus 15%. So that basically means whatever the confidence is to activate a program, whatever this is, whatever it costs in this is 15% less. We have a 5% speed of launch complex efficiency. So basically the launch complex, the efficiency of a launch complex grows 5% faster, but our contracts, we lose 7% reputation. So that's this number here. If, for example, we got 100 reputation for our contract, we would only get 70. Let's see. Valentin Glushko. 15% less funds cost for researcher salaries. 5% reputation from contracts, 10% loss in reputation to remove an existing leader. Now that's not horrible. So we'll take him into consideration. Sergei Korolev, 12% fund, negative 12% salary costs, 5% reputation gain from contracts, but we get less funds from program funding, so that means less subsidy. Milton Rosen, 10% speed for researching technologies, 10% bonus competence from science, 20% timeline reduction from program deadlines, and 20% funding. So basically, whatever the fund is per year, it's constant. But we get speed, research speed, and we get confidence boosts from science. Possibly. Of course, Werner von Braun. We couldn't go without having Werner von Braun, right? 12% confidence from contracts, 12% reputation from contracts, but we lose an extra 10% on reputation decay. So reputation actually decays. So the longer it takes you to do something, the less reputation, your reputation goes down. And we have Satish Dhawan. Get an extra 15% science out of transmission science. We lose, how can I put it? So as our normal reputation decay is reduced by 15%, but we lose 8% funds from program funding. So for me, I kind of like Werner. And the reason I like Werner is because we get more confidence out of our contracts and we get more reputation out of our contracts. So the more we complete contracts, the better off we are. Milton isn't bad as well, but that requires the confidence comes up. We need to make sure that we're collecting and storing science, but we get all this loss here for our programs. So I think Werner is going to be the best bet here. So we just do like that, and he is officially the administrator of our space program. All right, back over to contracts. We're going to now reach a suborbital trajectory and return. So let's go over to early rocket development. Back over to mission control so we can look at contracts. Now we could kind of do these in tandem with each other, but what I'd prefer to do, because we need to get 100,000 meters, so we need to get 100 kilometers. We have a ship that can do that now. So we can utilize that ship and throw some things on it to make it work, if we wanted to do that. Or we can start working on suborbital launch and returns, because a lot of these, like for example, the low space film return. So basically, in order to do this, we have to launch a rocket, take a picture, and then return it safely. So if we start and do this one, we can start working on a rocket that'll get us up to 140 kilometers, I think. We want to get that up to 140 kilometers and return it safely. That's the big thing. We need to make sure that we return it safely. So we're going to accept this contract. What is that? Oh, it's debris. Okay, we'll recover it. All right. So now we have to build what I'm going to call a V2. And I think they call it a V2 as well in other things as well. So we'll start a new ship, put an avionics pod on it, and we're just going to call it the V2 for now. And we'll save it. So what all do we have to play with? Well, we got a few things we can play with. You've got the A4. The A4 is a beautiful engine. I love the A4. It's got a lot of juice to it. So that will probably be what we use. This is a return mission, am I correct? This is a return, so it has to come back. But the only thing that has to come back, honestly, is this piece right here. So what we'll do is we'll grab a parachute, a double stack parachute, and we'll do some configuring to it. The size looks fine. Let's go ahead and bring up the editor. And this is going to be, we want it to be a double main 0.625. And now we're going to make a couple of changes to it. Pre-deployment, I think 25,000 meters is a little excessive. So what we'll do is, because I mean, this is just, all that's coming back is the nose cone essentially. So we'll change this to 1,000 for pre-deployment. And 300, actually. Let's do this a little bit different. Let's do 500, 300. That should be okay. We don't need any of this other stuff here. Oh yeah, let's do, why doesn't that change for both of them? I could have sworn this changed for both of them, but I guess not. That's okay. So what did we say? 500, 300? Is that what we said? Yeah, 500, 300. Okay. All right, so we've got two chutes set to open at 500 and 300. They pre-deploy at 500 meters, which means they come out, they're ready to go, and then at 300 meters they fully deploy. And then the next thing we're going to need is a decoupler, and I think we can just use probably a procedural decoupler would be fine. And we're going to bring the diameter up to our 1.3 meters. That looks good. Now we may have to change these dimensions based on what we do with our overall rocket, but we'll have to see. Okay, so now we got that. And we're gonna drop the ejection force to like 10%. Doesn't need to like shoot away from the rest of it like a freaking firearm. So the next thing is going to be, we need a tank. So we'll just use our normal procedural tank. And then on the bottom of that is going to be the A4, but the A4 is going to look a little different this time. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a boat tail adapter, turn it upside down, and set it right there. And then we're going to take some before we do that, let's go ahead and grab the A4. Okay. Now we will grab the procedural fairings. We're going to turn them upside down, and we only want one right now because we need to shape it. And that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to shape it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the top down so that kind of gives us like that little cone shape. We're going to stretch it out. To right about there, I think. And then we're going to bring the base in. To about 1.3 meters, I think will be ideal. And now we can shape this out just a little bit more. Oh, I forgot to change. We're going to change this to 2. That's why it looks weird. I only want 2 of these. There we go. Now it's going to look a little bit better, I think. I'm just going to kind of play with this a little bit. Yeah, that'll be okay. It's kind of just like play around with it a little bit until you get it where you want it. That might work. And we'll leave it just a little bit open like that, and I think that will work. So we do that, and then we do that. Oh wait, now we double attach, and we have a basis for our rocket. So now we can adjust this. The first thing is the tank. Let's bring the diameter up to match. 1.9. And we're also going to fill it with A4. So now we have 14 seconds of delta V. But this engine runs for 70 seconds. So we get an extra 5. So we can set this to where we get 75 seconds of burn. And we just do that by increasing the length. There's 70 seconds and we need 75. Let's see if we can kick it back just a little bit. Nope, we can't. 76.4 is about all we're going to get out of this, which is fine. So now we look at the diameter. It's 1.9 meters. So this piece here, we can actually just do this. Diameter 1.9. The parachute, this one we actually have to do manually. We'll bring this back all the way to the top. And we go next size, and I think that's it. I think that's good right there. And last but not least is the fairing, or the avionics, I should say. The avionics pod. We'll go ahead and configure it first, and we're going to leave it as a science core because we're not guiding it once again. And we'll make it at start. And actually, I think this one should be near Earth. We're going to change this one to near Earth because with near Earth, we get the ability to control it a little bit more. And we'll make it start. Now, as it sits right now, let's go ahead and size it up. And 1.9 times 5. So we'll say 6. And it is going to be a smooth cone. Crap. Let's try that again. 1.9. No. 0 on the top. The bottom is 1.9. And the length is 6. And there we have the workings of the beginning workings of our rocket. I always bring these things up and down just to make sure that they're connecting, because sometimes they don't look like they're fully connected. So this could be the beginning of our next rocket stage. What I'm going to do here now is we're going to configure the avionics. Now we think this is this is weighing approximately 35 tons. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the controllable mass to 35. And once again, we'll have 500 EC, and we'll keep the dimensions. Go ahead and configure the experiments. Thermometer and a barometer. Put them all in standby mode. Okay. So we get 2,600 meters of delta V on this. We're going to go ahead and save this. We're not launching it yet because we're not quite ready to do that just yet. I actually think we can go a little bit shorter on this, to be honest with you. Let's look at the center of mass versus the center of lift. We actually want that the other way around. And the reason we want that other way around, we got to think of it like an arrow. With the heavy part at the top, so the rock, the arrowhead or the stone or whatever it's made of, and then at the back is the lift, the feathers. So we need to bring that center of lift way down here, and we can do that, I think. Yeah, that'll carry it down, but we also need some aerodynamics on it. So let's grab some wings, and we're going to change this to a 4 stack. And we're going to kick them downward. I have to put them on the tank because they won't sit on the fairing. So what we do is we grab one and we move it down like so. We definitely need to increase the size of these things. Let me think of something here. I gotta think about this for a minute, how I want to do these particular wings. I think what I want to do here is just throw some numbers in here real quick. Yeah, I like those. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's get in close and make sure that they are fully connected and not sticking out anywhere. Yep, they look good to me. All right. And as you can see now, we've dropped our center of lift below our center of mass. Still not exactly where I want it to be, but for this particular rocket, I think it should be okay. We'll find out in a minute here. Next thing is we need some structure, and we'll use the umbilical tower. That keeps the engine fed, basically. And we'll drop it down. All right, now we're going to fix this a little bit because our staging is incorrect. The first thing we need to look at is our fairing. We do not want it to decouple. We want it to just leave it as it is. So what's going to happen here is this engine, the A4, is going to fire up and it's going to stay on the tower until it reaches efficiency. Then these are going to break away. Then we need this to decouple at. So we actually need to stop it at stage 2, and we need to manually do this because we don't want to arm our parachutes or decouple until we've reached our highest level, our highest ascent level. So basically, we don't decouple until we're on the downward turn. All right, let's try this thing. Let's see how this plays out. Oops. All right. I can already see this is going to be a little bit of a problem, but we'll see what happens. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to fix this staging because we want it to stop at stage 2. We do not want this to decouple or the parachutes to deploy until we're ready for that. So we're going to stop this at stage 2. We need to look at the A4. What's its run-up time? 2.3 seconds, so we will hot stage at 2.5 seconds. We have no solids on this one, so we'll just leave that off. And let's take a look at, okay, that's good. All right, let's bring out the A4. We'll pin it, engage the autopilot. I have a feeling that this is going to cause a problem with the way that it's sitting, but we'll see. Nope. Launched like a dream. So now we need to get to a suborbital trajectory, which means 140 kilometers. Which I don't think we're going to get there. We might, but I don't think so. Yep, we're only going to get to 96,000. Now we can't do anything about the way that this is rotating because we're in no atmosphere, so we have no way of controlling it. I don't think that this is going to satisfy the contract. It might, but I don't think it will. Oh, crap. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to do that. I'm actually using a different thing to, I don't even know if I can do that in here. No, I can't do it there. I'm using a new tool called Restream. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, you fixed it. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so unfortunately we didn't make the make what we needed, so we're going to go ahead and revert this back to vehicle assembly. And we're going to make some changes. I think the fact is it's just too flippin' heavy. So we're going to make some adjust it a little bit to make it a little bit more clean. So let's go ahead and pull these off for right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the fairings. Actually, we're going to take them off, and we're going to take the wings off for the moment. And we're going to put one of these on, and we're going to close them back up. Part of the reason that we're running into the issue is because it's just too heavy. And it's too heavy because of the fact that this tank is freaking fat. So we're going to make some changes here. Let's do this. Mm, let's make the height 2.9. Hang on. I'm going to do something a little different here. I think I may have goofed on this piece. So we're going to put another one on there. Let's do... Let's do this. Let's put the engine on first. So let's do 2.9. Well, that'll make it look a little cleaner. And drop the size down to 1.4. Well, let's try putting a fairing on there and see what that does. Come on, attach. There it goes. Oh yeah, I think that's better. So let's put this back to 2. Ah, dang it. There we go. So now what we can do is we can scale our parts to match. So if I can find it, we want 1.4 meters. Yeah. So if we scale everything back down to 1.4 meters, is that 1.4? And the bottom of this. Now we can bring, yeah, that should still be okay. Now our weight is down. Actually, we need to change the length of this because we now only have 41 seconds of burn time and we need 75. So we'll kick this up to 72, 73, 74, 75.4 seconds of burn time. That's going to give us 3,130 meters per second of delta V. I like it. Now let's grab the wings and put them back on. Once again, we bring them down to about middle of the fairing. We check their positioning. They're kind of skewed a little bit, so we'll go ahead and rotate them. We'll do a free rotation. Oh, wrong one. Crap. We want them almost straight, and then we'll kick them in so that they're fully connected, like so. Okay. Sliding around, I think we're looking good here. Double check the, yeah, that's what I thought. So now we are looking at 12 tons compared to the original 35. So we'll go ahead and make this 13, see 12.7, we'll make it 13 tons. We still want 500 electrical charge, and then we will apply that and keep the dimensions. And now we have a little bit of a more slender rocket. And we'll go ahead and reattach. Whoa, I only need 2 of those. Reattach that. Turn off the decoupler on the fairing. Fix our staging. Now we will save it. And let's simulate it. Let's see if we can get this thing into orbit. Well, near orbit. It's a suborbital trajectory. We need to get it above 160. Hover. I'm pretty sure it's 160 kilometers. I really want to say it's 160 kilometers. All right. Same thing, 2.5 second lead time. Stop at stage 2. We do not need to force a roll. Do not need to AOA. And we want almost a full straight turn. That's basically how we want it to look. We don't want it to, right now anyway, we don't want it to do anything fancy. We just want it to get up to 160 kilometers and then safely touch back down. Here we go. Let's bring up the A4. And let's see what happens. Starting to spin a little bit, which I kind of expected. But I think we're going to make it. Yep. No, we're going to make it with a little bit to spare. So this just basically has to get a suborbital trajectory, which I'm fairly certain is 160 kilometers. But we're going to find out here in a minute. If this works, and we'll go ahead and build it. We're going to have to build a new launch pad, though, because the current one will not support the weight. Okay, we've reached space, and that was 140 kilometers. So, yeah, we definitely got some time to spare on our fuel. Beautiful. Okay. Now the only thing left to do is to see if this thing gets back in one piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time warp it until we back on the downward slope. I'm going to stage this away, and I'm going to arm the parachutes. Now we're going to start re-entry. I'm warping these because just for the simple fact of if it blows up, it blows up. I'm not losing any money. But as we start to enter the atmosphere, I'm going to slow it back down because I want to make sure that the capsule, well, not the capsule, the avionics is actually doing what it needs to do. And we need it to deploy at 500 meters is their pre-stage or pre-deployment. And then 300 meters is our full deployment. We're going to double check that. Yep. 500, 300. Now, if this were a crewed vessel or we had more science or more weight on it, I would probably deploy it a lot higher up just to make sure that it has time to slow down. But because it's just simply an avionics cone, um, I don't think it's necessary. I think we'll be fine. Okay, I'm gonna speed it up just a little bit here. We're getting closer. It did not slow down enough. Or did it? Honestly, I can't tell if it did or not, to be honest with you, because it kind of landed in the ground. But we got the contract for the return, which means that it did safely land. Okay. I like it. I like it. The only thing I don't like is I want to kick it up just a notch and get it off the ground. I do want to change the deployment angles on, or deployment parameters on the parachutes. And we will drop, let's see, let's do 1,500. I think that's the only thing I don't like. I didn't like was the way that the chutes deployed. Fairly certain that that's it. So the next thing we need to do is we need to tool this thing. So we'll bring this up, and as you can see, it's going to cost us a little bit more to tool it this time because we have new things that we're making. Okay. So, whoops. So now these are things that, but once again, it costs less. So now we have the avionics cone, right? It now costs a lot less. And total cost is going to be 14,000 over the course of what? 2,879 days to build this? No way. Why? Oh, I know why. All right, we're going to tool it. Now it's going to take 874 days to build it, but we don't have a launch pad for it right now. Our current launch pad only holds up to 1 ton, so we need to build a new one that's going to support up to 13 tons probably. Up to 14 tons, which is fine. And we're going to call this heavy sounding. It'll take 80 days to build this pad. So we're going to go ahead and get on it. Oh. Now, so it's still reconditioning this pad, and then it's going to build this one. And in the meantime, our research is still happening. So, take a look at staff. Nothing is happening on this right now. So what I'm going to do, oh, I can't move it up. Oh, okay. All right, so we'll finish this real quick. Hey, Godjiff. I'm not a regular streamer, unfortunately. It's this is kind of like a one-off type thing. I do it randomly. So, all right, let's go ahead and take all of the engineers off of this project. And then we're going to go and we're going to get this built. As you can see, we're actually gaining money from this, even though we're spending money, we're gaining it at the same time. That's the beauty of subsidies. We get them on a daily basis as opposed to a all at once or whatever. So right now we're still just building the launch pad for this particular rocket. Okay. So now that that is built, we'll go back into the VAB and we will go ahead and we will start building or integrating this particular rocket. So let's do this. Oh, I need to set it to the right pad. And this I need to unlock parts, which is fine. All right. And it has already been moved to integration. So what we'll do now is we will head over here. And we can see that it's currently going to take 1,356 days. But now that we have our engineers in place, we will move them over to here. We currently have 10 assigned. That brings it to still 1,356 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to hire some more researchers, because this will take up to 70. Basically, we're using as much of the funding as we can. And now it's going to take 191 days as opposed to 1,700 days. I think we can live with that. And early solid rocket engines is going to complete within the next month. So what we can do here is we can now look at our next item, which we only have one science, and I don't think there's anything that we can research for one science. Yeah, everything requires two. But that's okay because we're going to get some good science back from this trip because we're saving the avionics pod, right? The nice thing is both of these are going to complete because if you put this in combined mode, you can it's what order it finishes in basically. So if we warp to complete, you will find that the first thing that finishes is early socket, early solid rocket engines. And that's going to finish on July 23rd, 1951. Boom. That is now finished. Now, we don't have any other science, unfortunately, that we can begin research, so the next one is going to start. But if we had the science to do it, I would probably send us into early rocketry, would be my guess, because that gives us a lot of upgrades to a lot of our engines, which is something that we absolutely will want down the line. The other thing we could possibly get is post war material science, which gives us better and lighter and cheaper tanks. Actually, I think that might be the direction that I head here once we get that. And then we'll get into early, we'll get post-war or early tracking systems, which will give us a couple of a couple of science experiments, and another avionics upgrade, which will be really nice. So I think that's the route that we're going to take. So the next thing we want to get is post-war material science. Okay. All right. I am not. I'm gonna be. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. I'm gonna step away for just a few. We will go ahead and warp this a little bit. And yep, I'll be back. Okay, I am back. I may have to duck out again if I get a certain phone call. I'm waiting for some answers on a thing that I have to know about to hopefully get me back to work. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing built, shall we? Whoa, what's going on here? Stop! Well, I went way beyond my deadline. Not my deadline, but I went way beyond my projected timeline to get this thing going. So let's go ahead and launch this. Now we're going to be a little behind schedule, so we got to kind of hopefully be able to play a little catch up here. All right, well, it still didn't exactly. I should have put them a little bit higher up, but that's okay. All right. Same thing as before. The staging is proper. We're stopping at stage 2. We're going straight up. Let's launch this big. All right. And off we go. Looking good. Let's go ahead and bring up the science and see how that's going. The A4 performed absolutely flawlessly. Yep, flamed out because of no propellants. We got 690 data units. That's actually pretty good. So now we just gotta wait. Get up to our, because now we can't just blow this thing up. We have to actually let it do what it's supposed to do. And it looks like our science information is transmitting, but it's also hopefully storing at the same time because we need to make we're going to recover it. So right now, there's been no data transfer on science, but we look here. We've collected a flying high on all 3 of these probably. So if this is right, we're probably going to get 4, 6, 12, maybe 13 science out of this. And since we're in the atmosphere, I'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Now that we're down, we'll go ahead and destage it and arm the parachutes. And now we'll speed it back up. That was the rest of the rocket blowing up in the atmosphere as it enters. Now, I have this set at 1,500, so at 1,000 meters, the chutes should pre-deploy. Operative word is should. Yep, there was 1,000, and then at 500, they fully deploy. And then that should slow us down to a nice, easy 2.3 meters per second. And now we'll speed this up because I am not going to wait 30 minutes for this thing to drop. And then we'll slow it back down. In hindsight, I think maybe one parachute would have been sufficient, but it's okay. Check the contract. A nice, easy splashdown. And I think it's going to be a splashdown anyway. Oh, yeah. So one of these, and I can't remember which one it is, it's been so long. One of these that I have actually shows where it's going to land specifically. But there we go. Now I should be able to recover it. And for that, oh well, I can just return to the Space Center because we're definitely not reverting this flight. Because it did everything it was supposed to do, and it did it beautifully. Um, let's see, where did it land? There it is. And we'll recover it. We got 5 science out of that. All right. So now we have 16 science, which is a good thing because we need to get some research done. So this is the next thing that we were going to research. So we'll go ahead and get that taken care of right now. And then we're going to get early tracking systems to get some science experience because we do have some things that we need to um, start. We have contracts for science. Then after that, we're going to do, I think, early rocketry. And then we're going to do basic solids. And then I think avionics prototypes. Let's see, what do we get there? Oh, okay, we get satellite cores. Yeah. So actually, we have 7 science. Let's do this because if we get these extra things, we can do some more science. And I think that would be better off. Or we go to basic rocketry, which we need early material science for that. And this costs 8. So we'll have to wait until we get some more science, which is fine. So the next thing definitely has to be early material science. Absolutely, without a doubt, has to be early material science, which I said I was getting that one to begin with, didn't I? So we're going to cancel that, and then I'm going to do this one. And now I need to change this. I need this one up at the top. That's going to take a year. That's going to take over almost 3 years. 4 years almost. Okay. Yeah. You know, I'm going to cancel this. And let's redo this. Wait, what is currently being researched right now? Early rocketry. Now, let's go back into here. And we need this one done soon as possible because we need these tank upgrades. So we need post-war material science. And then we need... Oh no, I had it right. Early rocketry. Then this. That leaves us with 9. And then we get early tracking systems, which gives us stuff that we need now. That leaves us with 7. '56 to '57 solid rocket engines, and it's only 1952, so we can wait on that. '52 to '55, but we need early material science for that. So once this is finished, then we'll go ahead and set this up. Okay, there we go. All right, that'll take a year. That'll take a little over a year. A little over a year. Okay. But what we can do here is we can hire some more researchers. Now that kicks us down to 170 days, 243 days, 173 days, and 139 days. So everything is less than a year now, which is good. Okay, I'm okay with that. All right, over to mission control. Let's see what we have. All right, so the next one that we have is the downrange milestone. Now this one is a little tricky because what we have to do here is we have to, you know what? Why don't we get these out of the way first? These two firsts. Let's see. Launch a rocket with the early film camera above 100 kilometers and cover a downrange distance of 200 kilometers, then return the camera. This one has to go 100 kilometers with 35 units of sounding payload. Interesting. Altitude sounding rocket, 75 units of sounding payload. At 130 kilometers. I can actually do that one now. We don't have to recover it. We're going to do that one. Shouldn't be too difficult. Basically, we just take our V2 rocket and we add something to it. This one doesn't have to be recovered, so we can take these off. Then we're going to add another tank. Or 1.4 meters. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open the tank UI, and we need to add. Oh wait, this has to be pressurized. Add 80 units. I'm going to put this a little bit higher up on the rocket. See if that... There we go. That's what I wanted right there. Okay, cool. I guess we could start looking at a little bit of design options for this thing too, so we don't just have like a silver bullet here. Let's see, it doesn't change anything. I mean, we're still going to make what we need to make. So let's let's design it up a little bit here. I mean, that's obviously because you know, USAF, but this is not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. let's see. Let's do white. And then ew, no. Sure, why not? Ooh, okay, that might work. Yeah, I'm okay with that, I suppose. Why not? All right. Well, we already know that this thing can do this, but to be on the safe side, we always want to simulate it because we've already added our sounding payload. And still put it in the ground. All right. So it's already taken care of. New vessel, built at the VAB, uncrewed, has a sounding payload of 75 units, and we need to get to 130 kilometers. Well, we already know that everything is good to go on this thing, so we will engage the autopilot. We want it to stop at stage 2, but we don't have a stage 2, which is perfectly fine. Um, we'll change that to 0. Actually, these are backwards. Like so. Autopilot is engaged. We just needed to get up to 130 and then we're good. And we're going to clear that with time to with stuff to spare. Yep, there's 130 right there. $260 as always. And there's that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I am absolutely happy with that. We'll have to tool a new tank, but everything else should be fine. Yep, we just have to tool a new tank. And it's going to go to heavy sounding pad. So let's go ahead and get it integrated. And it is integrated. Okay, so it's still got to recondition the pad. So we will do this. That is taken care of. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to staff, because on this particular pad, we can have 73 engineers. Right now we only have 65. So I'm just going to hire another 10. And there's our max. That puts us at a 26% efficiency. And that will bring us to 73 days to build this. That's not bad. Let's get some more researchers so we can speed up our research time here. Oh, I can't. Okay. Let's take a look at R&D, because we have 7 points, but we need 8. That's right. All right. Let's take a look at our budget. Our budget is looking good. You should see this balance actually change drastically once this is built. Now I just hope we have enough money to finish this. We should. But it's going to be close. Okay. Now look at that. Everything has changed again. So we'll go ahead and roll this out. Going to take 11 days to roll it out. Holy Jesus. And we're good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us up to sunrise. And let's launch it. Okay, once again, we'll bring this up. Oops, I forgot to fix the staging. Ugh. There we go. Bring up the A4 so we can see the stats on it. Bring up the science. Oop, I got it. We'll bring up the avionics so that we can see the science. Autopilot. And off we go. Now this one, once the contract is complete, we can actually range the rocket, because we don't have to recover it. Now we just wait till we get to 130 kilometers and then we can blow it up. Making good progress on our the flight data for this particular rocket, or particular engine, I should say. And there it is. Unfortunately, we don't quite hit these yet, but that's okay. All right. The contract is complete. And now what I'm going to do is we have a bunch of messages we need to deal with. Uncrewed speed records, altitude records, Kármán line, speed records, altitude, suborbital return, some more liters. Sounding rocket is complete. All right. We'll go to administration. What do we have here? Oh, we have scientists available. Mikhail Gurevich. This looks like it's more aircraft focused, so I don't want that. So this is also looks like it's for aircraft. Here we go. 12% to solid rocket research or engine research speed, 40% integration to solid rocket engine parts. I don't even know if I like that necessarily. Yeah, I don't like any of these, honestly. I think I'm going to wait on the chief scientist. All right. We still have that downrange milestone, but I'm not quite ready for that yet because we need some science. It says 81 days left in material science. And I need that. I definitely need that for for the next mission I'm about to undertake. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off if I can, which I cannot. But R&D is open again. We have 8 points. I need this one, so we'll get this one right. No. I think it was basic rocketry I needed. Yeah, basic rocketry is the one I wanted next. So I need to get early material science. And then this one's going to cost 4. I think I goofed. Oh, I got a cash infusion. Thank God. Because I actually need post-war material science in order to do what I'm about to do. All right. Now that that is done, I think I should be able to do what I need to do now. We are going to have a little bit of fun with this one, I think. So the first thing we're going to do, I got to think about this one for a minute. Hmm. Trying to think about this for a minute because there's a couple of things I want to do with this. I think, what engines do I have access to? Okay, I have the A4. Okay, I do have the RD100. Okay. Can I... I think I need the RD101 for this. Now maybe I can do it with the RD100. Alright. Need to think about this one. Really have to think about this one. I think... Okay, I have the spin motors, so I can use some spin stabilization with that. Yeah, okay. Let's put this thing back together real quick. And then we're going to open the arrow beam. What is this one? Interesting. All right, we're going to open the arrow beam. We're going to make this go away. And then we're going to load... Actually, let's call this V2 downrange. 2-stage. Now we're going to grab our V2 and we are going to merge it. Let's get rid of this for now. We are going to open the fairings. We're going to get rid of the A4. We're going to put the RD100 on it. we're going to retank it. We're also going to get rid of the sounding payload because we don't need it. This is always the hard part, is finding the parts. Oh well. It's just an extra part, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it'll work. Oh, that's how I could have done it. I didn't think about that. Oh, no, that's just the fairing itself. Oh well. It is what it is. Okay, except I need a different configuration on this engine. I need the 101. I'm gonna put the fins back on. Gonna fix the tank because now we have access to the AI, or to the aluminum fuselage, which gives us a lot more bang for our buck. It's lighter and gives us more oomph. Same with this one. It's currently steel. We're going to switch it to aluminum. Okay. I need to fix staging on this real quick. We're not quite where we need to be just yet, but we're getting there. Okay, so this is high pressurized. This engine is good to go. These are coming off. And in its place, we are going to put spin motors. And we're going to do this so that we can introduce a little bit of counter spin, or what we call spin stabilization, to the air, to this piece. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to upgrade this arrow B to the XASR1. And then we need to redo the tank. What's going on here? For some reason, oh, I see why. There we go. And this engine burns for 40 seconds. Hmm. Interesting. This is kind of like, I don't know. Um, because that means that we need to extend this out. Whoa, not that much. Oh, I hit the wrong one. I mean, I guess that's okay, but then this one here. 85 seconds. Let's change that. 70 seconds. That's a little bit better. It gives us 61 seconds, so now we need to extend this out. $75.3 seconds. This is a fairly large rocket, but in theory, this should do what I want it to do. All right, the weight is 16 tons. Let's try this. I don't think we quite have the delta V that we need, but let's give it a shot. Now, the thing about this is we need to get it to sunrise, first of all. And this thing, we are actually going to give it some movement. We also need to make sure that the staging is proper. So this is going to fire, then these are going to release. This runs out of fuel. This fires. All of these fire at once. What that'll do is that should put it on a like a spin stabilization. It's going to basically turn into a needle that spins rapidly, keeping it as straight as possible for as long as possible. All right, let's see what happens. Now it should gradually start to move towards a 90-degree angle. Okay. All right, I'm liking it. All right, 400 kilometers apoapsis, which is fine. I don't think it's going to be enough to get us downrange where we need to get. Yeah. I think we're only going to get about 1,000 kilometers downrange. And we need to get 3,000. Yep, we're not going to get it. We only got 1,000. All right. I need to think about this for a minute. So I'm going to take a short break and I'll be right back. All right, y'all. Hey, I got that phone call that I was wanting to get, and I need to step away for a little while to take care of some business. I will come back a little later. I'm not